Welcome back to the channel. It's been another week. I was traveling out in Denver and it was 70 out there one day. Kind of crazy here. It was warm, and then I got back yesterday, it was 50. Today it's in the 30s. So anyway, we're going to get back to work on this thing. This has become a familiar sight to those of you that are watching me every week. I'm not tired of looking at this thing, but I'm ready to make some progress. And you know what? We're going to make some progress this weekend. So first off, over here I got a heater going on the cylinders, the steering cylinders and the lift cylinders. I'm going to put some paint on those where the metal's kind of bare, because once they get put on there, they will be susceptible to rust, because where they sit, it is what it is. So I'm going to do that. Got those warming up so I can paint. Got my paint warming up. Just going to rattle can it. Not a big deal. But this is pretty important right there. Trip over to see Oliver Phil last night. I've got hydraulic couplers. I've got hydraulic hoses. That one right there was a pretty expensive one. I've got my old hoses, so that if anything's not fitting quite right, we can go back and look at those. But this is going to let me do a whole lot of progress hopefully today. So we're going to start putting the hoses back on and see what we can get done. And said hopefully I get these painted so that probably late today or tomorrow they'll be able, I can handle them and get everything set on the tractor. So the other thing I did yesterday is I got my pressure washer. When I brought that Oliver plow home, it kind of was feeding gas into the crankcase. Cleaned the carb, float was stuck. That's good. So I pressure washed. This is the bracket that holds the radiator. So I just had a lot of grease, oil on the inside in here, and I just wanted to get that cleaned up before I put the radiator in. And I also did the plate that goes between the engine and the cab, just to wash it off. And other than that, I didn't do anything this week because I wasn't here. So we will get started today. Probably the first couple hoses I'm going to put on are going to be that big expensive hose, and then this hose, because we got to get those on to see then how this hose is going to work. We got to reroute that to get it around. If you remember where the dipstick goes there, had a rag in there to keep any dirt from going down in there. But so I'm going to probably mess with those and see what we come up with. So I'm going to do the top hose first. I couldn't get it to thread in down here. It's got no ring fitting because this line, the line in question, was in the way and wouldn't let me get it threaded in because that hose is pretty stiff. So got it started on, tighten it down, and then it goes in up here. It doesn't help that I've got a raging case of tennis elbow right now, which in my right arm, which is my primary arm. So that just makes all this so much more enjoyable. But I'm happy I have these hoses, because now literally we're cooking with heat now. Get a lot of this done. All right, that's on there. Now we'll see if we can get this angled around. Get you guys set up. And the hard part is this hose wants to push that out, so it's not going to be what's the word I'm looking for? It's not going to be square, so I'm going to have to fight it to get it square. And then there's going to be a lot of pressure on it, so I'm going to need a wrench to try to get this thing started. This cross threading is a bad thing. Oh, it started. Huh. I thought I was going to have to fight that a lot more than that. The bad thing is this is coming on here, and then after we get everything figured out on how we're going to route that other line, this line's probably going to have to come back off, because I think in order to get the pump off, it's a lot easier with this line not on here. All right. First line on. It fits. So, the other thing that I'm wondering is that metal line comes off there. We're gonna have to fish it up through there too. I'm gonna grab it real quick and we'll look at that. Sorry, taking you guys for a little ride here. Okay. A lot of jostling around. Now, that's not good, because this pushes on there. I don't know how to set you guys up so that you can see this. I don't even know if you can see it from there, but we're gonna do what we can do. But this has got to pushing against there. That ain't good. I guess we're gonna have to figure that out. Can I come around? I could do that right there. I could do it that way, come around this side. Now it is sitting pretty tight on that line, so it's probably gonna wear on there a little bit, but could do that, but it's got to be right up close, or else we're going to obstruct the dipstick again. No, that doesn't work. That'll be a work in progress. We might have to bend this a little bit up at this end. I don't know. I guess that's the fun of this, is figuring things out. Something like that. All right, I have my other big line down there sitting in front of the heater, hopefully getting nice and hot so that it will be pliable, because that rubber is thick. Warm, it's not hot. And I'm gonna have to let that heat up more, because it's gonna take quite a bit of finessing to get that one on. We got the rest of the hoses here sitting in front of the heater, so hopefully they're warming up. So, all right, I'll bring you guys back in a minute when that heats up. All right, I cheated you out of that one. I got this hose pretty hot, and I didn't want it to cool down while I screwed around with the camera, so I quick got it put on. It wasn't too bad, actually. Once I got that end started, then I was able to kind of muscle this end to get it started there. So those are to the oil. See, this is the oil pump. This is, let me see how this is going. From the crankcase to the pump, maybe out of the pump through the oil cooler and back in, or vice versa. Not exactly sure, but at least I got those done. And as of right now, my dipstick will go in. So that's going to be the put that steel line on and then bring that other line off the back is going to be the fun part. We definitely might have to do a 90 or something, or 45. It's going to be interesting. A 45 might work. A 45, kind of routing it around, and then back. I don't know, I have to talk to Phil about that. But then again, if I do a 45 set, steel line's going to be right here, so that's going to be an interesting one. All right, we'll be back in a minute. All right, in between kind of putting the hoses on, I got primer, and then I just ran rattle can paint, just cheap rust stop paint from Ace on these cylinders, and got the heater on them. Like I said, it should dry them pretty quick, so I can actually handle them maybe later today and we can put them on. But if not, you can always do it tomorrow. But it's not a great paint job, but it's going to do what I need it to do, which is just keep them from rusting. If I end up painting the whole tractor, they'll get repainted at some point, but for now, this will work. All right, so when I take my hoses to fill, I put tape on them with a number. Then in my book, I keep notes on what each number goes to. He does a tag with the fittings and the length and all that, then he attaches to each line, so then I know what goes with my book and with the old line. So just so you know, that's how we keep track of those things. So I think when I'm going to start, these two lines go for the steering. They go right up there. One goes to a steel line down here, which we'll show you in a minute, and the other one comes down and works its way down up to the pump in the front. So I'm going to start with those, and then we'll go up in the cab and put the ones on the steering pump underneath the steering wheel. All right, so the first one goes from what I had on my notes. Goes from the left side, which will be here. And then it goes down to the steel line down here. Okay. And the other one, which is much longer, goes from the right side down to the pump. And I'm going to remember how this one routes, but at least I can get it started up here. That's the pump side. You know what? I'm not going to tighten these, because when I put these on here for the steering cylinders, I need to be able to get my wrenches in there, and this one's going to be in the way. But at least I will have them in the area where they go. And I'm going to route this other one down to the pump, which is going to be hard to show you because it's in a weird area, but I'll bring you back in a minute. All right, so that one routes down there behind where the other one hits the steel line. It comes down around. There's a spot there where it's got a clamp on it, and then comes around and goes up to the pump, if you can see it up there. So that went on all right. Now I got to climb up in the cab and put the 4 hoses on that go from the steering pump. I won't be able to show you that because there's no way to get a camera up in there, and I've kind of got to stand on top of my head in order to put those hoses on. It's a real pain, but I'll take you up there right now and show you where, and then I'll show you after when they're in. So there you can see the 4 places they go there and the 4 places they go down there, and as you can see, there's just no, I tried to do this before, I think, no good way to show it, but anyway, I've got it marked down what goes where, and I'll show you when I'm done with that. All right, that wasn't bad for you guys, not so much for me, because it's tight to get in there, and but I got all those plumbed in, and got them routed, so hopefully it doesn't mess with my wiring too much, and everything's tightened down. So it's a success up here in the cab. Let's move on to the next part. All right, next we got these two big lines that go from the far side to the back of the cab back to feed the remotes and the 3-point. So I'm going to do these next so that the cylinders have more time to dry, and I'm getting a phone call. All right, well, that was Joe Pro that called. I guess little Joey learned how to say A4T this week, so he's learning quick. Anyway, these hoses go to these ports here on the back of the, underneath the back of the cab. Let me kind of go out so you can see where I'm at here. There's the back of the cab, motor's up there. They come down, go through this harness here, come through that hole. This hose goes to the top port right there. The second hose goes to the bottom port down there. So I've got to, and you got to deal with all this cluster of crap to get these in behind them. And if I remember, this is a real pain in the butt when I took these out and when I've put them on the other one. So again, it's going to be hard to show you, but I'll bring you back as I'm doing it to show you how this routes and how it goes. But yeah, and then to tighten these, I had to actually buy a big claw wrenches or crow's foot, one of the two wrenches in order to get in there to tighten these, because it's just super tight. It's in a very frustrating spot. Okay, I'll bring you back in a minute when I kind of get these things routed. All right, I got them on. I forgot what a pain in the butt this is, but unfortunately I put the left one on first. Should have done the right. It's a real pain to get the crow's foot in there and to do this, and then you got your brake cable there that gets in the way. But it routes down, goes through that harness, comes in, there's your top one, down there's your bottom one. That's what feeds everything back here, because you got a line that comes over to the control box. Your bottom line comes to the back of the control box. So yeah, that's basically your whole supply to back here. So I got the bottom one tightened up. I need to tighten up the top one, and then either I'm going to mess with the remotes, or we're going to move back here to the back, running that line through that goes down to the lift cylinders back there. I could probably put the rear lift cylinders on. The one thing I'm going to have to do, and I should have been doing when I was doing all my small jobs, is underneath here where the steering cylinders are, there's a lot of crud under there. So I need to sweep up all the dry absorbed stuff off the floor, and then get down there and scrape all the dried up grease from underneath before I put those steering cylinders in. But it's got to get done, so I'll probably lose about 10 pounds off the tractor when I get all that crap scraped out of there. So, all right, I'm gonna look at my lines and see what's next. All right, so I started these two lines on this cylinder because once it's in there, it's a real pain to get to those. And I had to jack up. I got my floor jack on the 3-point here, pushing it up in order to make everything fit together. So next thing I got to do is I've got to get the cylinder up. I got to be able to push. Dang it, I didn't even think about that. I need to put the jack on the other 3-point arm. I'll show you why. So I've got it over here on this 3-point arm, and I need to be able to swing this one out to get this pin through the bottom of there, and then that plate that fits on the outside holds that pin in place. But if I can't swing that arm out, I can't get that pin in. So stand by, I got to reset this. All right, jack set on the other side. I'll get you guys set up in here. Swing this out now, and I can get my pin started. And the next thing I'm going to do is I got to be able to hold up the cylinder, get the pin to go in, which is not easy to do. I got to remember how I do this. thinking. You know what I think I have to do? I gotta let the 3-point arms back down. To there. So then I can slip my pin in more easily. Then, pick up on my cylinder. It would help if I had a guide over here, because I can't really see what I'm doing. There we go. Voila! Success. Got that through. Now, in order to get the top in, I gotta jack it up. So, a couple pumps. Now, I gotta find my pin that goes in there. And I gotta remember. Yeah, this side goes in like that. So I let my jack down just a little. Coming down. Try it about there. You know what I probably should do is I should probably go polish up this part of the, maybe if it would slip in there a little easier. I can go in from this way and put my pin in, it doesn't matter. Alright, I think I need to go down just a little more. Little tap tap. Not there yet, a little more. More. It's getting close. Give it a couple taps and see. Nope. A little more. I'm close. One more maybe. Up a step a little bit. Man, I'm close. You know what it is there's a bushing inside, and my pin has got to make it be able to go through the whole thing. I'm going to get the Dremel and clean this out in there. It's just not wanting to go. I'll bring you back. Alright, I did two things. I cleaned that out in there, and then I kind of ground down. That pin was slightly mushroomed. Just slightly mushroomed, but it was mushroomed enough to make a difference. So, get it set there. I can knock my roll pin in. And then I can, I'm going to tighten, I'm going to put the top hose, I'm going to tighten it there, and I'm going to do it at the top. And then we'll worry about getting the other cylinder on, but it's easier without that other cylinder in. It gives you more space to tighten without that other cylinder in. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then I'll bring it back for the other one. All right, so I got the other cylinder over here. Before I get it up there, I want to get this. Oh, don't drop that, and it kind of smashes your hand. I want to get this other hose started on here, because once it's up in there, it's a real pain. So if you've done much with hydraulic hoses, you know if you don't have them threading exactly perfectly, they don't want to go on. And it can get to be very frustrating, like extremely frustrating, to the point that you start saying things that you probably shouldn't be saying. Just saying. Don't know. From experience, I've just heard rumors be told that happens sometimes. Alright. Bad thing is, while putting it on there, is it gets, gonna loosen it up just a smidge, because it's binding. Because the cylinder's kind of twisted in there. And that's just part of it. So, I'll get this started. It feels like it's started. Yep. A little hammer help. This is where it's going to be a pain to get through the rest of the way. And the big pain is I don't have two left hands. There we go. Got it. All right, bottom's in. Woo! All right, now gotta get the top in. I'm gonna extend you guys up just a little bit. So that is twisted just slightly in the barrel. Straighten that up, get it to there, and then I need my top pin. And the hammer. Problem is, now that I've got the other side in, I don't need any up on the 3-point arm. In fact, I think I need some down, and it's almost impossible to get your head in there to see. Boy, it looks awful close. But it's not close enough. So what if I put a little down pressure on the arm with my foot. That didn't do it. So I'm going to have to mess with this for a minute. I'll bring you back. I went the wrong way. I needed to come up just a fuzz. There we are. Now I got to get that twisted in order to get the pins in there. But at least I got that cylinder back on. And now I just need to put the pins in there, and I need to tighten it in there. So you see that hose connects those two, and then I tightened it up where it hits the steel line, which goes to the control box. So all that's good. I will put a rubber hose around that hose there to keep it from wearing. I'll do that here coming up when I find an old hose that I can cut and shove in there so I don't get a hole in my new hydraulic line. All right, got the pins back in, got the other cotter pins in down there, and then on the outside here I got the plates on, this whole plate which holds the pin in that goes through the bottom. So that's done. Looks a little bit better. Wrong color red, I know. That was safety red or something, but like I said, it's just to keep them from rusting. All right, the way that on the other tractor I got the remotes to fit on here is I tack welded a washer on here to hold it so it would be there. I don't have the washers I need, so I'll try to get those tomorrow and we'll tack those on, and then we can get the rear remotes on. I think right now I need to crawl underneath, I need to clean up the floor dry, and then I need to crawl underneath and see how bad it's going to be underneath to clean up under there where the steering cylinders go, and I know that it's not going to be good. And then we'll work on getting the steering cylinders on, and once the steering cylinders are on, then all I have to do is the remotes. That's the only other part that will be left to do, and the remotes won't be too bad as long as I get the stuff tack welded on there and I get all that set up. So we're getting there. This is it's coming together nicely, and yeah, this is what we've been waiting for, right? Make some progress.